Ever wonder why some songwriters consistently churn out hits while others struggle to get noticed? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the top 21 career-killing songwriting mistakes that are killing your career, and I'm going to show you exactly how to fix them. For over 10 years, I've studied hit songs and the science behind why they're so addictive, and these techniques are all pulled straight from the biggest songs in the world. Let's kick things off with one of the most common mistakes I see: not using enough repetition. Repetition is the glue that makes melodies stick. Think about Stay by the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber. The hook repeats multiple times using a hit song repetition phrase type called AAAB, embedding it in the listener's brain. You need to be using repetition strategically, especially in your choruses. Whether it's a melodic phrase, a lyric, or a rhythm, repeating key elements gives your song staying power. Mistake number 2, waiting for inspiration to strike. Relying solely on inspiration can seriously stall your progress, and the most successful songwriters like Sabin Kotecha, Max Martin, and Ilya don't wait around for inspiration. They use proven hit songwriting patterns and strategies to create hit-worthy ideas out of thin air. These techniques help them consistently craft chart-topping songs even when the creative spark isn't there. You need to be treating songwriting like a skill and use the same techniques that hitmakers like Kotecha, Martin, and Ilya do. Lean on strategies like hit song rhythm patterns for your melodies, repetition phrase types, strategic contrast throughout your song, syncopation techniques, and many more hit songwriting methods to guide you even when inspiration feels distant. Allow these techniques to fuel your creativity, and the more you rely on these proven tools, the more often inspiration will naturally follow. Ever skipped a song after just a few seconds because the intro didn't grab you? That's a huge mistake. Take Billie Eilish's Bad Guy, for example. The opening beat grabs your attention instantly, and you know exactly what song it is from the very first second. Start with something attention-grabbing, like a bold rhythm, an intriguing lyric, or a powerful vocal line. You've only got seconds to make a first impression, so you need to make it count every time. Mistake number 4, not enough contrast in your songs. If your verse and chorus sound too similar, listeners will lose interest. Just listen to Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. The verse melody is sparse rhythmically with a good amount of space between the motifs. However, when the chorus hits, it becomes busier, packed with constant eighth notes. And then the post-chorus shifts again, emphasizing constant downbeats. There's a lot of rhythmic variation throughout. So you need to be using dynamics, rhythm shifts, or lyrical contrast to differentiate your song sections and melodies. Keep the listener engaged by constantly changing things up. Ever felt like a song had too many layers, drowning out the core idea? That's mistake number 5, overproduction. Let's take Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, for example. It's packed with energy, but the production remains crisp and clean, allowing each element to shine. Nothing competes for attention, and everything is placed with purpose. Every layer is essential, and nothing feels excessive. Resist the urge to throw in every sound from your library and instead focus on the essentials: kick, snare, hi-hat, percussion, vocals, bass, lead, and chords, and make sure each one serves the song. Think about what's really driving the emotion of the track. In a well-produced song, every element has its place and purpose, and each instrument or vocal line contributes directly to the overall feel. Simplicity often translates to power, so don't be afraid to strip things back. By creating space in your arrangement, you allow the listener to connect more deeply with the melody, lyrics, and groove. Less clutter equals more impact. Mistake number 6, not writing with dopamine triggers in mind. If you're not consciously crafting your song to activate the listener's dopamine system, then you're missing out on one of the most powerful tools in songwriting. Dopamine is what keeps listeners coming back, getting that addictive sense of pleasure every time they hear a certain hook or chord progression. Songs like Blinding Lights by The Weeknd work so well because they keep giving the brain what it craves: predictable patterns, satisfying drops, and unexpected twists that are better than expected. You need to be leveraging dopamine triggers in every song. You need to start with repetition, create patterns in your melodies or rhythms that the listener can latch onto, then surprise them by slightly tweaking the pattern in a way that still satisfies the brain's craving for familiarity. Whether it's an unexpected chord in the chorus or a rhythmic shift that catches the listener off guard, use these techniques to keep the dopamine flowing and your audience hooked. Mistake 7, not collaborating enough. Every one of the biggest hits today, like Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter or I Had Some Help by Post Malone and Morgan Wallen, came from collaborative efforts. You can't always create the best work in a vacuum. Find co-writers, producers, or even other musicians to bounce ideas off of. Fresh perspectives can transform a good idea into a great one. Mistake number 8, writing for yourself and not the listener. If your song doesn't tap into what your audience is feeling or experiencing, you'll lose them. It's not enough to just express yourself. You have to connect with your audience's emotions. Look at Good For You by Olivia Rodrigo. This song became a massive hit because it spoke directly to the emotions of young listeners, channeling a raw mix of anger, frustration, and heartbreak that many could relate to. Olivia doesn't just tell her story, she mirrors the feelings of a whole generation. What makes Good For You so effective is that it captures a universal emotion, betrayal, but does so in a way that that feels fresh and intense. The biting lyrics, the punk-inspired energy, the unapologetic attitude of the song hit on feelings that many listeners, especially those going through breakups or emotional upheavals, understand on a visceral level. Olivia Rodrigo wrote it not just from her own experience, but with the intent of striking a chord with her audience. That's why the song exploded in popularity. It wasn't just her story, it was their story too. To write for the listener, you need to understand what they're going through. Ask yourself, who is my audience? What are they feeling right now? Whether it's the excitement of new love, pain of a breakup, confusion of growing up, find those common threads. Then blend your own style and message with those emotions. When you write with your audience in mind, you create a connection that goes beyond just listening to a song. It becomes an emotional experience they want to return to again and again. Mistake 9, bad song structure. Songs like Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake follow a clear structure that builds momentum and keeps the listener engaged. Use tried and tested structures like verse, pre-chorus, or maybe verse, chorus, and then post-chorus. Once you memorize and master these different structures, then it's time to break the rules and start to eliminate or add different sections depending on what your song is calling for. Mistake number 10, weak lyrics. Even if your melody is fire, weak lyrics will sink your song. A great example of how to avoid this is Lizzo's Truth Hurts, a song that became a smash hit because of its clever, relatable, and raw lyrics. The song's success didn't come from just a catchy melody or production, but from the way Lizzo's words hit listeners with brutal honesty, humor, and a sense of empowerment. Lizzo uses clever wordplay right from the start.
I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that bitch.
This line is witty, bold, and instantly memorable, and it's a perfect hook that grabs the listener's attention. But beyond the cleverness, the song speaks to real, raw emotions that resonate with many women.
Why men great till they gotta be great?
The song's rawness is another factor in its success. Lizzo doesn't sugarcoat anything. She delivers her lyrics with unapologetic bluntness. It's these types of lines that are simple but emotionally loaded that make Truth Hurts so powerful. To write lyrics that connect with listeners, aim for 3 things: cleverness, relatability, and rawness. Clever lyrics stand out and stick in people's minds, while relatable lyrics make the listener feel seen, and then raw lyrics show vulnerability. Mistake 11 is forgetting about dynamics. If your song stays at the same energy level, it will lose impact. Roar by Katy Perry starts small and builds to a powerful chorus, creating this emotional roller coaster. You need to be using dynamics to build and release tension, so start soft, build to a crescendo, and then use silence strategically as well. Mistake 12 is not taking breaks. When you're too close to your song, you can't hear it objectively. Stepping away gives you fresh perspective. Take breaks during your writing sessions. Come back with fresh ears to hear what's really working and what isn't. Mistake 13 is ignoring current trends. Sure, you want to be original, but you also need to know what's relevant. Songs like Levitating by Dua Lipa borrow from retro trends while keeping it modern. Stay aware of what's trending in the charts and find a way to incorporate modern elements while keeping your own unique twist. Mistake 14 is poor transitions. Abrupt changes between sections can feel jarring to listeners, and a song like It's Okay, I'm Okay by Tate McRae flows effortlessly from verse to pre-chorus to chorus. The shift in the synth and higher vocal melody signals the change to a new pre-chorus section, and then the brief moment of silence at the end of the pre-chorus tells the listener that the chorus is next. And when the chorus does hit, it's stripped down, creating a contrast from the energy of the pre-chorus, and it makes the shift feel smooth and intentional. Smooth your transitions with subtle chord changes, drum fills, moments of silence, strip back elements, or lyrical bridges to guide the listener naturally from one section to the next. Mistake 15, not seeking feedback. Sometimes we fall in love with our own ideas, but an outside perspective can point out flaws that we can't see. Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars went through 92 different versions before it became the viral hit we have today. Don't be afraid to share unfinished songs with trusted peers or mentors. Their input can be invaluable. Mistake 16, forgetting that melody is king. No matter how great your lyrics, production, or arrangement are, if the melody doesn't grab listeners, the song won't stick. The greatest example of this comes from Max Martin, the most successful songwriter of our generation. With 26 #1 Billboard hits to his name, tied for second place in history, Martin's songs are a masterclass in melody. He's proven that a strong, memorable melody is what keeps songs at the top of the charts and in people's heads for years. You need to be prioritizing your melody. Take a page from Max Martin's playbook and focus on creating a melody that's catchy, simple, and impossible to forget. Your melody should be so strong that it can stand on its own, even without production or fancy arrangement. If listeners can hum or sing it long after the song is over, you've hit the mark. Remember, a great melody is the foundation of a hit. Mistake 17, ignoring the power of silence. Silence or pauses within a song are just as important as the music itself. In Bad Guy by Billie Eilish, the use of silence between the beats and vocal lines creates a sense of tension and makes the track feel both minimalist and powerful.
You my so cynical. So you're a tough guy, like girlfriend mad type, might seduce your dad type. I'm the bad guy.
Duh.
These pauses let the song breathe and give each section a sharper, more dramatic impact. Incorporate moments of silence or space between sections. Silence creates tension and builds anticipation, which can make your song more dynamic and emotionally powerful. A well-placed pause can be just as effective as the notes that surround it. Mistake 18, failing to build suspense. Great songs lead the listener somewhere, and building anticipation is key. In Dancing in the Flames by The Weeknd, the crescendos created by the synth swells and tom fills before the chorus build anticipation perfectly, making the drop into the chorus feel intense and satisfying. Use rhythm changes, pauses, or crescendos to build suspense and keep your listeners hooked. Gradual builds like rising synths or drum fills can create the tension and excitement needed to make your chorus or next section hit even harder. Mistake 19, poor pacing. If your song drags in the verses and rushes the chorus, it won't hit as hard. Look at Take Me to Church by Hozier, which builds gradually, keeping listeners engaged throughout. Pay attention to the pacing of your sections. Every part of the song should serve the overall emotional arc. Next up, overcomplicating your songs. I get it, you want to showcase your skills, but sometimes less is more. Take Old Town Road by Lil Nas X. Simple melody, simple lyrics, massive hit. Overproduction or overly complex melodies can confuse listeners and detract from the emotional core of the song. Strip it back, focus on a simple, repeatable melody, try no more than 4 intervals, and create a clear emotional message. Complexity can be cool, but only if it serves the song. Mistake 21, not finishing your song. One of the most dangerous habits for any songwriter is leaving ideas half-baked and never completing them. It's easy to get stuck in the cycle of perfectionism or lose excitement halfway through. Set deadlines for yourself and commit to finishing songs even if you're not sure they're perfect. You can always revise later, but getting a finished product is crucial. Completion breeds momentum. Now, if you want to dive deeper and learn even more hit song techniques, click the link in the description for access to my free hit song training, and let me know in the comments what songwriting mistakes are you guilty of and which ones are you going to fix first. And hit the like and subscribe buttons for more content on how to elevate your songwriting to the next level.